with that being said, and again, last week it was busy. The weeks before we had nothing. We're in busy Kraken times now, with free agency beginning and still taking place currently, but things have really calmed down since the first day. So, Bel, let's run through what we got.
Yeah, and stop me whenever you would like to touch point on some of these guys here, because this is a hefty list. On the 11th, the team re-signed Carson Coleman to a one-year deal. That was an $825,000 average annual value. 26-year-old appeared in 25 games last season for Seattle. On the 12th, the team re-signs Alexander True to a one-year deal, $750K average annual value, two-way deal. On the 13th, free agency opens, and this is where we have our most action here. The team signed Martin Jones on a nine-year career, mostly with San Jose Sharks. Career save percentage of .907, 35 games played last season, 12-18 record, a .900 save percentage. Won Stanley Cup with the Sharks in 2014. A 1 year, $2 million average annual value.
So Martin Jones is an interesting pickup. I know that when we posted about it, it got mixed reactions because Martin Jones is a guy that, you saw he won the cup with the Sharks in 2014. Just since then, he's not replicated that sort of success with the Flyers. Like a buddy of mine said, RJ Escanos with Emerald City Hockey. If you're looking for a great Kraken, a great account that covers solely the Kraken here, Emerald City Hockey, they do a great job. Obviously, we do the best at covering all of the sports in the city, but if we're looking at individual
specifics,
Emerald City Hockey, they do a great job. They're just like us. They continue to work. So he said that he'll make some great saves that he should make, but he also makes some mistakes. So with Chris Drieger tearing his ACL that we looked at a few weeks ago, this is kind of like, okay, we're going to need a guy for the next few months, the first few months of the season while Chris heals up. That's where Martin Jones comes in, but he's I wouldn't want him to be your day one starter.
Okay, so the 1 year makes sense then.
Yes. So that's my piece on Martin Jones.
Okay, moving on here. The team has also signed Justin Schultz. He had 23 points in 74 games last season, has played with Edmonton, Pittsburgh, and Washington. He's a 10-year veteran, two-time Stanley Cup winner, both with Pittsburgh. That's years 2016 and 2017. And he was signed to a 2-year, $3 million average annual value.
So Schultz here, I know a lot of people, even before the season ended, were looking at Dallas Stars defenseman John Klingberg for free agency. Klingberg, a few years ago, he was regarded as one of the top defenders, the top defenseman in the league. And I was even on this. I was like, oh, go out and sign him if the term makes sense. From what I understand, Klingberg is going to command like several years that you don't want to lock yourself into contract-wise, right? And the money, it just wouldn't make sense that way, like contract-wise, right? And then on the other side of it, in terms of like the player himself, he's gone down like production-wise, quality-wise the last 2 years.
Sure.
So he's already hit his peak, and he's on his way down, and he's going to command more money. You don't want to sign a guy like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what Justin Schultz is the stopgap for in that regard. Obviously, it's a 2-year deal. He's a veteran, 23 points in 74 games last year. So he's able to be a guy that can help some offensively, might help on the power play. God, that's so cool to say. I miss hockey. I'm excited to get back to that. I get talking about power plays and stuff like that. But some people might have questions about Klingberg. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is that the team didn't want to box themselves in with that kind of contract and instead went for a cheaper decision, but still a veteran value. And it's almost like bargain bin shopping, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So I think that sort of veteran presence will certainly help there.
Moving on here, the team signed Andre Burakovsky.
Yeah, I'm going to be totally honest. Nobody attacked Bel for that because I don't entirely know for sure what it is. And even my buddy RJ didn't know for sure what it was. So I don't get on people about pronunciations. If we get it wrong, we'll correct it.
All right. But he has had 4 career NHL games played, 2 games played with Carolina last season, 2 points, 2-time Calder Cup winner, 2019 and 2022, an AHL All-Star team in 2022, and he was signed to a 2-year, $762.5 thousand average annual value. That one's a bigger contract. Actually, those were $3 million. Sorry. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. No, those were millions.
Thousands, not millions.
Yeah. anything to say on him? No.
I mean, he's a guy that, I mean, you saw 4 career NHL games played. He's been a lot in the AHL, which is like right below us. He just, from what GM Ron Francis was telling the media, was that he just hasn't gotten a chance necessarily, and just maybe needed a new change of scenery.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. This is another defenseman. No, he's a forward. Maybe he'll crack one of those top 4 lines. Maybe he'll end up in Coachella Valley with the Firebirds and continue. Maybe he'll get a shot called up.
Yeah.
But that's basically what I was hearing from Francis, is that he was a guy that just hasn't gotten a shot yet.
Okay. Moving on here, the team also signed forward Andre Burakovsky to he's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion for the years 18 and 2022. He's an 8-year career spent with Washington and Colorado, 61 points last season with the Avalanche as they won the Stanley Cup. His contract is 5 years for $5.5 million average annual value.
So as you can see, this is kind of the big guy, leading into free agency, and even throughout the season, the Kraken were expected to be aggressive in free agency, go after a big guy, and they want to be competitive this year, is what I've been told. Even with the draft that we looked at last week, right? I mean, a lot of talent. You drafted all of those guys. You used all your picks. I think you made a trade for 2 more picks, right? So you weren't going to use any of those picks as currency, it seems. Maybe you do trade one of those guys still, but I don't know. But Burakovsky is a guy that, what Francis was saying, he was a guy that's creative with the puck. He can score. And even with Burakovsky, I know we just talked about Petrolsky. They're saying that with this change of scenery, they think he can produce more offensively, which is, I mean, 61 points is nothing to spit at. And to be part of the Colorado attack, I don't know how much you might have paid attention to the NHL playoffs, but the Avalanche essentially just rolled their way through. I mean, the Kraken did beat them at the end of the season. I mean, they had some guys banged up. Landeskog was injured amongst a few others. But to be a part of that organization, a guy that, won the Cup in 2018 with the Capitals, I think this is a good signing. And he got him on a good term. 5 years isn't the worst thing. And 5.5 is lower than he was projected to do. So that was a good signing. I like that signing. That was good for the Kraken. That adds another guy to their top lines. And there's another guy that can score the puck. That was something that, amongst their several issues they had throughout the year, they needed more guys to be able to score the puck. And that's
what he provides.
So that's Burakovsky. Big smile. Welcome to Seattle.
Moving on here, the team has also signed forward Jesper Froden for a 1-year, 2-way deal, $750K average annual value.
I'll say with these guys that you're about to look at here, a lot of them outside of Winterton and Melanson, and then Shane Wright, a lot of them are guys that are more than likely going to end up with the Firebirds, because I'm not sure if you saw it, but because we didn't have the Firebirds last year, they didn't have their own AHL team. They were sharing one with the Hurricane. Florida Panthers, my apologies. So they were sharing that team, and so you've got half of that team's prospects. So now you've got a full team and only had technically half a roster. So now you're going to see these guys that you're going to look at are going to be helping fill the cupboard there.
Got it. The team also signed Magnus Hellberg to a 1-year deal, $750K average annual value. Brogan Rafferty to a 1-year, 2-way deal, $750K average annual value. Austin Pagonski to a 1-year, $750K average annual value. Cameron Hughes to a 2-year deal, $762.5 thousand average annual value, and that's also a 2-way deal. Ryan Winterton signs his entry-level contract, Kraken's 3rd-round pick from last year. And they also signed Jacob Melanson, signs his entry-level contract, Kraken's 5th-round pick last year. So we move on to some more signings here. The team has signed draft pick Shane Wright to an entry-level contract. That's a 3-year deal. Do we not have more details on his contract?
No. I didn't see I think there actually are numbers on that. But, I mean, he was a number 4 overall pick, so it's got to be a few millions.
Right.
This was really interesting because this was on the 3rd day of dev camp that they had. I was at that. And they had him sign it on the ice. Like, they had a scrimmage with all the young players. And then general manager Ron Francis came out on the ice and said, he's going to sign his contract right in front of you. And apparently he didn't know that. And he was like, so we're just signing it. So, I mean, that's cool to see. Wright's a guy, again, that was projected to be the number 1 overall pick. He slipped to us at 4. He's a guy that's been looked at as a leader, and I know that him and Matty Beniers, your pick from last year, who scored 9 points in 10 games, have already been hitting it up and been good friends. So you'll more than likely see Wright with the Firebirds, I imagine, to begin the year. But Francis was talking about him too. You might see him at some point with the Kraken at some point at the NHL level. So I might be able to get number details for you on that, but I know that's with the entry level deals, right? Like I think they burned the first year of Beniers' deal by calling him up at the end of the year because they only played him in 10 games, right? So you burn 1 year technically,
Right.
But they wanted to get him out there, see how he could do against NHL talent, and you weren't going to make playoffs anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what Francis essentially said is they want to get as much burn from these guys as they can and let them get out there and just play. And they're not afraid to let them do that, even if they're younger guys. So, hey, you're just starting out as a franchise. Go ahead, let them do it.
The team has also signed John Hayden to a 1-year, 2-way deal for $750K average annual value. And you mentioned Dev Camp. Is there anything else that you noticed in your time there?
No, not necessarily. Well, I would say that another draft pick from this year, Ty Nelson, a defenseman. He, when I was watching scrimmage, he was a guy whose name kept popping up. Is like Ty Nelson scores, or Ty Nelson's around the puck. Ty Nelson makes a good play. So I'm excited to see him and what he does, because obviously the attention is going to be on Shane Wright, mainly, right? I didn't mean to do the double right there. But Ty Nelson's a guy that I would keep an eye on. No, it's interesting because most of the Firebirds coaching staff was up here for Dev Camp, so it's kind of cool to see them up there, and they got a warm welcome. And just to know that Coachella will be up here. So, I don't know how much hockey Bell does, but we might have to see, have you out there for that, because I know this is going to be home base for them while their home in California is being finished up.
Okay.
So they're going to be here till I think December. So we got some time for some hockey to work in there. But no, it's exciting. It's the first time they've ever done it, and I think it's another great way for fans to get involved with it. So it was a lot of fun. I know a lot of them talked about how cool it was to see all the fans come out for just essentially like a rookie mini camp is essentially what it was.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, you're watching guys that are going to be part of the future of this franchise. So, I guess if you look at it long term, it's pretty cool little event to go out to.
And it was 4 days of it, right? So
Yes.
if you can't catch one of the days, there are 3 other options. That's about it for our Kraken.